Got him.
I literally got Kosmo with a spit.
Words are hard.
I literally got Kosmo with a meltdown there.
We got him. That was great.
Words are hard, guy.
Words are hard.
Guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Modern Flirting Podcast, where we have Albert being Mr. Cool Guy right here with his leg. What's up? I'm Kosmo. This is
Jared. How are you doing, Kosmo? Thanks for that warm introduction.
best friends in the world. Albert, one of the most amazing people I've seen talk to women in field. How you doing, Albert?
Fantastic. You must not have met too many people if you think I'm one of the most amazing people you've ever met.
I think you're one of the most amazing people ever. And just to let you guys know what we've been doing 5 minutes before this podcast is thinking how we're going to make fun of each other in this whole podcast. So the whole point of this podcast is to kind of talk about social dynamics, dating, and also like reveal who we are as people.
That's not good. That's not good.
I feel like it could be really fun.
I hope so. It'll be really fun.
Yeah. So Jared and Albert are definitely planning on making fun of each other, and I'm going to be the mediator here.
Yeah, I love that he thinks he's out of this, that he's just not
how are you not
how are you not part of this?
Wait a second.
Well, before
I checked the pre-show script, and I felt like it was very different, Jared.
Yeah, we had a whole list of jokes just at Cosmo's expense. Yeah. He's like, this is my nightmare. He's literally like,
are you comfortable on this couch? I feel like he's uncomfortable.
Are you okay? You're sweating a little bit.
Does he look good, guys? Is he comfortable?
Does it look like I'm uncomfortable right now?
Oh, he almost said comfortable. Oh.
Let's look at Albert's
speaking of
left
uncomfortable
leg right now.
It's a great
Let's talk about his left leg right now. What is going on right here, bro? Just bring that over here.
I'm like a combination of like an out-of-work baseball manager and like a rock star who didn't make the team. Let me like both of it. I'm not
let's just
well.
start this off. I got a real question. I got a real question here. Let's just start this off because there's very few things that Albert does that's not very particular and calibrated, and I give him all the props in the world. But for the love of God, I cannot understand why no matter how he sits in any chair, he has to be sideways. It doesn't matter what it is. You always have to have this weird
sideways.
You have to do a weird sideways knee thing or like some twist. And
number one, easy answer. You got to protect the goods, right? Always make sure that in case somebody comes in, gives you a little nut tap, gives you a little sack something. See right there.
Yeah, he's ready.
I am protected.
He's good.
I am protected. Number two is just more comfortable, man. I just feel comfortable. For the viewers at home, I don't know if you could tell the sexual energy between the three of us on this couch. It's very awkward. It's very palpable.
I mean, I'm into it.
And I wish I could say this anywhere else,
too.
but here we are. Here we are. We're right here right now.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to our podcast. This is the intro. This is the three amigos. Well, I want to start off a question with you, Albert, and real talk. I've never met you before. When we went to the Vegas boot camp, Jared talked a lot about you, and I'll never forget the first time that I witnessed you talking to other women. I witnessed you being, in a social gathering. Do you remember what I'm talking about? When you were talking about the two girls?
I do remember this story. Yes, I do.
And I heard a lot about you, and I know we've never officially met, which was really weird, but Jared talked about you a lot. And I hope that he talked about me a lot.
He did. Oh, yeah. He did.
He did? Okay,
Nothing good, but yeah.
And it was, for the people watching, like, dude, honestly, man, you are fucking amazing, bro. Like, you really are. And I had walked up, and you were talking to two girls, very beautiful women, and I just felt so competitive with you, because where are you from?
Miami, Florida.
Cuban?
Cuban from Miami.
Miami, Florida, Cuban. Jewish guy here.
Not Cuban.
Be like, I have another Cuban here with me. I'm like, who's the other fucking Cuban? So I walk up and I see Albert. Bro, you are just like so good, man. Honestly, you really are. And then the first time that we ever kind of winged together, I came in. We never talked about it. We didn't rehearse about anything. And you picked up so quick. And I'll never forget how the girls, I looked at them and they looked like they were in a hurricane. They were like, what is going on right now? It was just social dynamics at its purest form. And that was amazing.
That literally means so much to me, Kosmo. I don't think I've ever told you this, but growing up, Jared and I came up together in the, what it used to be called the pickup scene, right? And obviously, you had never met me in person, but I felt like I had met you on television, watching you, and a lot of our friends that watched your show, The Pickup Artist, you were like literally my guy. Like I was like, this is my dude. Like Alvaro from Miami with the Corona frozen. Like we used to like, my friends and I would like stop each other in bars when like our drink got too high. We're like, no. We would like literally move our hand because of you specifically.
Fuck
we're like,
my life.
Don't be what he did with the beer in front of him. I never forgot that. So when we had a chance to meet in Las Vegas, and it's funny how life takes you in a direction you never expect. Like one day, you're going through that experience on a television show in front of a national audience, and I'm at home watching you being like, fuck, I want to learn like this guy learned, right? And our lives literally do this. Like we're two ships who go on like other sides of the map and then end up like together there in Las Vegas. And it was a really fun experience for me, and we got to coach together. I felt like we had a rapport immediately, to the point where we're just like, fuck it, let's like do something together within the Modern Flirting brand. Let's build things like these podcasts. And yeah, man, I felt it too. I felt palpable energy that I was like, this guy is who I hoped he was.
And before I take it to Jared, like to ask him this question, why do you feel like a lot of men, because what I feel like you do really well is when I came up to you with the two girls, very beautiful women, most men decide to like make fun of each other when they're around women. You did the opposite. You empowered me. We never had a talk. It was the yes and, which people that don't know what yes and is, right? An improv drill where anything that you say, yes and. Like, for example, Jared, Kosmo is the most amazing person ever.
Yes, and he empowers everyone around him.
So the yes and, right? You were so good at that. Most men, especially being Latino, Cuban, we make fun of each other the whole time. I walked up and you were just empowering me the whole time. And I felt like when we were together, the women were so refreshed. They were like, what is going on right now? Like they are, okay, they're having their own vibe. And I just really thought that was very refreshing.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like so many people in the, dating community, pickup world, whatever you want to call it, they feel like everything's based on themselves, right? It's like me internally, I have my agenda. I look at everything the exact opposite. I take what I see and I like see where that person is. And I felt like that was kind of who you were very quickly. You seemed to like kind of greet me with open arms. You were very welcoming. And for some reason in my brain, I was just like this, I felt like we meshed in that way. And that was what was organic for me. So I don't force my way of doing things. I'm open to those around me. And then
if I came in to wing you, he'd be like, look at my cock friend right here.
Yeah, like
my big, like it would have been exact. You realize it'd be the exact opposite.
I think it's different strokes for different folks. And I also like, I think it's like for me and for all of us, really, I don't think we go out to meet people with an agenda of I'm going to get this girl home, I'm going to do this. And I think a lot of people have that stigma. For me, it's like, I'm going to go out to have a good experience and try to see who I'm talking to, explore and discover them as a human being, and then have the interaction be fun for all of us, myself included, but all of us. And like everyone's built differently. Like I always like to like kind of understand who they are. And if they're really quiet, I'll like call them out for being like, oh, this guy never shuts the fuck up. Or like if they're like this, and I like to play with it to like break the thing. And I thought for you felt like a really genuine guy who's passionate, and it was like, got it. And I was just like, you know what, this guy makes sense. And we just like became bros like very, very fast.
Well, I think the pattern here between all three of us and just guys in general who are really good at this, it comes down to two key factors. Number one is that social awareness of being like game recognizes game, being aware of what people are doing, subtle things you're doing with their body language, tonality, what kind of personality type you're dealing with when you meet someone, and just being able to pick that up at lightning speed. And then the other key thing is not just having a good experience for yourself, but making sure everyone around you is having a good experience. Oh, yeah. And I think that's a huge factor that was missing from the community industry, the pickup world, the dating world, whatever you want to call this thing. I really have no name for it anymore at this point. It's a fugazi, as Albert says. Yeah. But I think that was a huge thing that was always lacking, even early on, was this idea of guys would be going out with the mindset of trying to take. They would go out with the idea of like they're hunting, right? Where we back in the day, we were guilty of this because we didn't know any better. We were like little kids trying to figure this shit out. And it always came from the thing of we got to find that target and we got to like isolate her and we have to like get this a tangible, we have to get this goal or whatever, versus what we've kind of evolved into, and most people don't get that, is we're going out to give and give an amazing experience, not just to the girl that we like, but her friends, our friends, the random waiter, whoever the fuck enters our vortex, we're trying to give it a good experience to. And this is a concept that transcends just dating and social dynamics in general. This is something that's really taught and hit on in the entrepreneur world. I mean, you see people like, Gary Vaynerchuk, Alex Hormozy, business tycoons being like, if you want to get more customers, if you want to make more money, you have to give. And this is basically a very core principle of social dynamics and human nature that not enough people understand and respect because they come from a place of scarcity and not abundance.
Yeah, I think you literally hit the nail on the head perfectly. For me, it's like back in the day, I'm sure we were all guilty of this. It was like, I'm here to sell myself to hopefully take from the venue, the person, whatever. And I'm like, very early on for me, I was like, that doesn't ring true to me, and that always felt empty. Whereas now I'm never selling myself in a cold approach situation. I'm always like, who are you as a person, and how do we all, like you said, the key word was, how do we all fit together in this vortex blend of humanity, right?
And it was a fake sale. Because back then I was telling stories about how I got out of a car with a crowbar to smash some guy's window in because he was stalking my ex stripper girlfriend. I don't know the whole story. Like I had like all these like fake stories, things that weren't me, wearing eyeliner and LED belt buckles and all this kind of stuff.
Well, let me interrupt here for one of my best friends watching right now, Mystery. I got your back right now, Mystery. I do not agree with that actually. So let me push back here. So I do think that at some point in time, men should have things that are pre-planned. They should have stories. They should have things that they know that they feel are their most positive attributes or showcasing what their future abilities might be. So I always have this debate with people, and I'm down to debate both of you about this so we can go at it. I do believe in pickup lines. I actually do believe that it is the guy's job to showcase your personality, to tell the girl your stories, who you are. It's not the girl's job to qualify herself to you. What I feel like Albert is saying is that when you're a high value guy, then yes, you can come at it with that mindset of like, who are you? How do you fit into my life? But a lot of guys watching right now or listening right now don't have that high value status, right? Like they're making $30,000, $40,000 a year. They're, they don't have that many women in their life. They can't just qualify a girl. The girl's going to be like, fuck off. I don't want to talk to you. So therefore, I think Mystery really was an innovator with game where he 100%. Said, you know what? We need to like create stories where you can showcase the best version of yourself. And then I agree with Jared. We talk about this a lot. All three of us do. If you want a 10, you have to
be a 10.
You have to, guys, be a 10.
That wasn't my point. Was that wasn't being a 10 though. I was using fake stories. I wasn't being myself. I was using stuff as tactics to, and so I'm agreeing with what you're saying in the sense of your stories, your personality. You do have to prove to the girl that you are this high value guy.
But don't you think that we're allowed to embellish as men in stories?
There wasn't embellishing; it was fake.
It was like completely.
It was completely fabricated.
Because my rebuttal, Albert, was going to be like, women wear makeup. The girl that I talked to last night was not 5'7". She was 5'5". She had high heels on. Right. They wear makeup. Right. So if women are allowed to embellish, I feel like guys are allowed to embellish as well too. It's just my theory. But
imagine
I get a lot of pushback on this.
Yeah. Imagine if I told a girl though that I was in a movie Counterpunch.
I mean, that's straight up lying.
Yes, that's what I was doing.
Then you take her shirt off and she's really disappointed.
Because
we just don't want that to happen. It's just bad for the brand, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle on this. I don't necessarily feel like. I feel like, man, a lot of this is about, and for the guys listening, I think Kosmo made a good point. Not everyone.
You mind if I vape, by the way? Are you cool?
No, don't stop. You got to stop right now.
Yeah.
All right.
It's awful.
I won't vape no more.
It's okay. I'm a human person. It's fine. So, yeah, no, to your point earlier, Kosmo, I think you made a point, right? It's like, it's easy to come across and say, listen, I'm this person who's established. I have a lot to offer. But to some guys who aren't making a lot of money, don't have a social circle, don't have connections. But I also think that like not every girl wants that certain type of guy who like is a millionaire on a boat with a big social circle, right? Different girls want a guy who's just charming and funny and gets me, right? And is in sync. I think one of the first things I missed in pickup was I was like, I'm going to demonstrate, not to shit on Mystery, because I think he's a genius and an innovator who trailblazed
the ultimate
for all
innovator.
of us. But I thought I was so much about showing my value as opposed to connecting with a human being, right? I think the girls that have the best, like if you ever hear a girl describe a guy, very rarely are they like, what do you like about him? And they're like, oh, he's a doctor, or he's 6'2", or he's this, or it's always like, he gets me, or like we just click really well,
or how he made me feel.
Right. We just have this vibe. Like I can't put my finger on it, but we just like it just makes sense. And that's, to me, that's the magic bullet. That is I'm talking mystery. That is the thing that I try to like, and I figure out like how do you get to that level of nuance? And that's to me is like the understanding of a human being, more so than me being like, hey, I did this really cool thing last week. It's like, oh no, when she made that look and I noticed it, and then I call her out on it, she'd be like, wait, how did you notice that? And I'm like, because I'm paying attention to you. I'm not trying to sell me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then, but do you feel like that you're relying, when you're coaching guys, on the fact that they're very self-aware on picking up those cues? Because a lot of men don't pick up those cues.
Right, so here's...
Right? Like, it's
so,
true.
Kosmo, here's something that, and I want your opinion on this, because I see Jared do this all the time, and I think he's incredible at it. He'll come into the room or come into a place that's really cool, and he'll make this Instagram post. And he'll be like, hey guys, here I am at this place. And he'll just like rattle off something, and what he says is perfect. And I feel like when I try to do that, that's the only time I ever stumble my words. Because I feel, why? I feel like I'm being performative. And I feel like that's how guys are in pickup that are struggling. Because they're thinking about, they see themselves, like if I ever see myself on my phone recording myself, I'm like looking at myself, judging myself, and I freeze. And I'm like, oh, what was I talking about? Whereas when I'm in a cold approach setting, I'm not looking at myself or thinking about myself. I'm looking at the person in front of me, and they're everything I need. Their body language, their tonality, their face, their words, their look. So and I think that's like instead of looking internal, it's taking the external.
So any girls are like a reflective necklace where you can see yourself. You just
you're like, what
done.
The fuck is happening
like,
here?
I'm fucked.
I literally, I had this because I literally, not to be a DHV, but like I was on the reality
DHV meaning demonstrating higher value.
Yeah, I'm not trying to just throw it, but I was on the show Survivor, and sometimes I've had people reach out to me for like, hey, can you send my little brother a video? He's a big fan of Survivor. And dude, it takes me 20 takes to make a 20-second video. Whereas I can go talk to a group of fucking supermodels and be fine. But because I'm judging myself in that moment, it alters my lens.
How about public speaking? What about like speaking on stage?
I'm fine with that. I can speak to 1,000 people. I have no problem. But because I'm like watching myself, I'm thinking about what I'm doing. It's like, that's the disconnect that you have to
I got a question for Kosmo. Not then. So that's his anxiety. What would be something that gives you to this day, something that would give you anxiety, or where you'd be very like, oh, fuck.
What would be something that makes me very self-conscious?
Self-conscious or anxiety, like at this level, where do you feel that would be at for now? Other than riding elevators.
Gosh. Dude, by the way, guys,
don't give him the shaft on that.
Me and Albert are both claustrophobic, so shout out to all my people who are claustrophobic. Yes, Jared is making fun of me. I am scared of elevators, but I've conquered my fear. As long as there's someone in the elevator with me, I can go. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate you. Man. So conquering my fears.
Today he actually took the elevator because the stairs were broken.
Exactly. Stairs were absolutely
Shout out to
broken.
Brent. That's actually a Brent joke. I always cite my sources. That's a Brent joke.
Our producer, Brent,
give it up for Brent.
Joke.
How good is Brent?
Brent's amazing.
What a fucking producer over here.
Guys, not the greatest jokes, but he tried.
They can't tell, but Brent's physically naked right now. Look at him. He's fully naked.
He's wiggling his dick out. He's just doing all kinds of things.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with regarding social dynamics. Or are you talking about my life in general?
Something that would give you anxiety, and so, like for example, like for Albert, it was like seeing himself on camera.
But are you referring to, and probably a lot of people are thinking this, life or social dynamics?
Either one, both, whatever comes to your mind.
Okay, well, life would be death. Like, I'm terrified of death.
DMT.
I do not like that at all. I terrified of it. It does give me anxiety, and if I'm to be honest, I don't have depression
like
ever.
Dying, like being dead, or like the way you would die?
No, just being dead. Like I have a big fear of that. But a lot of people ask me this question. Actually, Brent and Jared were talking about it. My testosterone levels came back. and they're pretty high. Because they're like, how do you have so much energy all the time?
Bull, this guy.
And you know what's crazy? And
you were positive for testosterone? You tested positive?
Yeah, he tested positive.
I tested for positive testosterone. Yeah. But it was pretty high, and I don't do any what is it called?
Testosterone replacement therapy.
What is it called?
TRT.
So I don't really ever suffer from depression. I do get anxiety. Because I feel like it's really hard for me to be depressed because and let me know if you relate to this, Albert. I'm constantly taking action. So I'm a very like high energy guy. Yeah. So like I don't really get mopey dopey. I'll never make it. I'm never gonna have a big podcast. I'm always like very optimistic, going action oriented. So I don't get depressed, which I know a lot of people do suffer from that. But I think depression could be healed by taking action. Now my problem, what I'm trying to solve, if anybody can help me, is if I'm to be honest, that you open this portal, Jared, is I do get anxiety. Because I get overzealous, I have a lot of energy, and at times I could get anxious.
Right.
When it comes to social dynamics, we have a video where our producer Brent or Jared pulled down my pants in Fort Lauderdale like a couple of weeks ago. I had no reaction, and there's girls around. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm so proud of myself, if I can say. When it comes to women and being in a social gathering, I have absolutely no like anxiety or fear, which is crazy because like what I was telling you guys, massive fear of death and thinking about all that stuff and being claustrophobic. But when I'm in a social gathering, and I want to hear your thoughts, Albert and Jared, that there's no more fear for me. But that was one of my biggest fears, is to get humiliated by a girl, to get embarrassed, what to think about that. Now I'm completely liberated. Like I don't care about that. But I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
It's so weird. I had this conversation with Brent the other day where I was just like waking up after like a wild night out, and I literally just said to him, like very organically, I'm like, I could die today, I'd be totally happy. I was like, I've lived a life. Like I've literally was like, I've lived the life of several men, and I was like, you know how people when you're in an airplane and everyone gets nervous and turbulence happens, and
that's me all the time, bro.
I think my brain is broken because when that happens, I'm like, if the plane goes down here, I had a good run. I don't think I would even yell. I literally would be like, if the plane goes down, I'm like, I lived a really fucking good life.
Are you saying that because we're on a podcast right now, or do you really mean that?
Dead serious. Sometimes when the plane goes, I think I'm kind of like broken because I'm like, actually, this would be a cool way to go. Like Albert Destrade lived an epic life and died in a plane.
So you're like rooting for it. You're just like, oh man, it's perfect ending to this story.
This would be a really cool way to go. I don't want to like have some like, oh sir, like your leg's gonna fall off, then you die 3 years later. If I want to go out in a fucking like glory. Like,
so here's something I never told Kosmo, but what you just said right there, like really struck a chord with me. The whole your biggest fear was death, because my entire life, that was my big thing. More than women, honestly, I remember being a teenager, visualizing dying, being dead, not knowing if there's a heaven or if there's nothing, and just massive, massive anxiety. And I struggled with this until about like 2 years ago. And this is what happened. I'm a big believer in mentorship all across the board, whether it was dating, business. I've got mentors to help me with speaking on stage, coaching, you name it, fitness, whatever. And 2 years ago, I went on a retreat. I went at San Diego, funny enough, to a shaman. And I'm going to suggest this for you if you're open to it, but it's up to you at the end of the day, obviously, and our listeners. And I went to the shaman in San Diego, and we did live. Brandon was actually watching me so we can talk about this, watching me live. He gave me DMT. Do you know what that is or no?
Yeah.
So for the listeners who don't know what DMT is, it is a chemical that is released in your body only twice in your life. It is when you're born and when you die. It's called the spirit drug and all this stuff. Anyways, my experience was this. He did the ceremony thing. I'm laying there. I take the DMT, and I just go, woof, I just fall back. The world kind of collapses around me. The thing kind of goes black. I don't know. It sounds scary, but it wasn't. And then all of a sudden, I saw my future self. I see my face, but it's me dead. So I see my like corpse face, which sounds, again, awful scary. But here's the thing. He was talking to me either telepathically or telling me, he's like, bro, I'm you and I'm dead. And I'm telling you straight up, it's fine. You're good. Like, this is not a bad thing. And I believed him because I'm like, I know that's me. it was this weird thing. It was almost like talking to my future dead self, reassuring me and going, "You're freaking out over nothing. Just calm down, relax, and you're going to be good." And then I came out of it. Now, obviously, look, yeah, you can say
I feel like I'm high now. Like that story got me. Like I'm like, is this a fever dream? Is this really happening right now?
But here's a kicker.
Are we on a podcast right now?
Yeah, like I'm like, are you a person? Like what?
No, but here's a kicker.
Holy shit!
I know that. Look, you could say on drugs and blah blah blah, all of this, but better than any fucking thing. I've been in therapy. I've talked to psychologists about this. Ever since then. I'm not going to be crazy like Albert rooting for death on a plane or whatever, but ever since
let's not make Albert crazy because you're the crazy one. Right now.
Never made Albert crazy. Albert was born that way, but I
try to have your back, Albert.
No, but seriously, like since that moment, it's gone. It's literally been gone.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely open to trying that. That makes me fucking anxious just saying it. Yeah. So, hey, look, you know what? This is like a dating podcast, so we went kind of deep right now, but it's okay. I hope anyone that's feeling what I'm feeling right now, you know, might be. You know what? Maybe we should do a podcast of me trying it and like filming.
Yes.
Because I'm
trying DMT.
Trying DMT on the podcast.
Well, book me again. I'll be back. I got to see this.
well, for me, Albert, you know,
fucking see this.
because we're both Cuban, we're gonna do it together, holding hands with no clothes.
What if I can get this shaman on the podcast? Would you be down?
We're gonna eat arroz con DMT.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I love that.
I got it.
Shifting gears real quick. Holy shit, guys, that was intense. Albert, want to get your opinion on this. What is your whole thought on the movement when we first got started, which was 2000 and...
For me, 8, 7?
And 2007
for you, 2006
yes,
for me.
7.
And so now we're in 2022. For all the guys watching right now and hearing us, how do you think the game has changed the most?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's a multi-part question. Number one, I think that as a society, everyone's just moving to the digital platform. I feel like everything is getting less and less personalized, which isn't my favorite. I'm old school. I'm organic. One of my favorite comedians, Dan Soder, has a great line, which is, I don't like online dating because you can't smell a person. Like, I think you like lose a lot of the things
I love that
I really like.
Would you had a catfish smell? Like you can FaceTime them, but you meet on the date, you're like, this person catfished me. They smell like fish.
It's a weird thing. I also think hear me out.
Words are hard.
Jared, Jared Kos, what do you guys think about this? Here's what I think has really happened too. I feel like dating and like learning about pickup concepts or dating concept went from unknown to like kind of popular to like everyone was shitting on it and like taboo to like now it's like, oh, it's okay to find self-help, right? It's okay to work on yourself. It's like literally like if you look at the chart of like popularity and people embracing it, it's like literally went like up, like nobody knew it. They then down, then now it's like literally at an all-time high.
So you guys don't remember this.
Do you agree? Sorry.
I want, so just one thought. I 100% agree. And what I think is happening is social conformity. What people think is not cool, everyone adjusts to that. What people think is now cool, now they'll adjust to it. Now it's like, it's cool to talk about mental health, mental illness. Before it wasn't. It was like, look, I'm Cuban, I'm Latin. Back in the days, it's like I'm depressed or I'm sad. Like as a Latino, it'd be like, shut the fuck up and get your shit together. Now,
tough it out.
There's so much more empathy, sympathy, self-awareness, self-regulation, all of the above to be like, yo, are you okay? Let me bring you to a clinic. Back in the days, it was like my uncle gonna tell me like, you're being a, I'm sorry, shout out to my uncle, you're being a bitch, man up. Right, and he would just punch me in the mouth. Now it's more empathetic. No, I'm being real. It's more empathetic.
That's all they knew. That's all they knew back then.
That's all they knew. Right now, that was the medication. Now it's like lorazepam, you know, all this stuff where it's like, well, we have medicine and we can also now empathize. I'm half and half with it, Albert. I feel like it is kind of digressed in like the sense of like, man the fuck up. But I also feel like back in the days, like our uncles, our aunt, you know, all, like our grandfathers, they were hiding their pain and their trauma by not really going like, yo, how do you feel? Like, how do you really feel? They were scared to talk about their emotions.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to my uncle. I talked to the alpha guys that I have in my life. My grandfather, he passed away. they cried like once a year. I hate to be a pussy on a podcast, but I cry like twice a month. I watch a movie, I'm like very open with my emotions. My most favorite fighters on the planet cry a lot. Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
Do you think he's a pussy? Look at all the YouTube videos. He's most of the time emoting and crying. Go try him if you think he's a pussy. So I think that let's validate and empower people's emotions, but at the same time, not be so quick to conform with an inanimate object, which is the phone, which is what Albert was talking about, hiding behind your phone. I feel like that's my trigger. But yeah, what were you going to say, Jared?
Well, I mean, this took a whole nother. I mean, I think us Jews had it a little bit different than the whole getting punched by uncles and told to shut the fuck up, whatever. We don't really have too many alpha role models in the Jewish community.
Really?
So, unfortunately.
So you guys were early on in like the opening up and understanding.
I had some wicked timeouts, bro.
Oh my God!
You have no idea how timeout I got.
So it's like more passive aggressive.
No. So all right. So if. I want to make a point from earlier, but I'll get on this
one.
Well,
the point is done. We're moving on.
In our culture, there was like 4 things you could be. You were either like normal, hardworking, lazy, or crazy. Like they're just like, oh, what's wrong with Joey? They're like, he's crazy, and it's like, oh, he actually has like bipolar disorder. You know what I'm saying? Like they're you're like, or this guy's lazy. It's like, no, he has ADD. Like that didn't exist. Or they're like, he's a normal person. Like
with Jews, you're either smart and successful, or you're a disappointment.
Yeah,
and disappointment is the ultimate Jewish.
You guys are early on guilt. You guys are really big on guilt.
Disappointment, a comparison to others.
Jared does that to me all the time.
Yeah, you're disappointment.
The guilt trip with Jared is off the charts.
Yeah. Wow, you really gonna call me out like that?
Absolutely.
When he's not tripping on DMT, he's tripping on guilt.
Yes,
that's his other drug.
It's either DMT
that's his
or
daily
like,
drug.
How do I make Kosmo feel very guilty?
Yeah.
All right,
and let's go.
So back to all right, but rewinding way back when you're talking about the early days of this. So none of you guys know this because number one, you only got into the community from the show, and number two, Albert only got a community from the show.
So none
of you guys remember.
I just started right before the show came out, and the show came out. I'm like,
there we go.
Thank God. I literally was like a couple months in, like just learning. I'm like, this is literally my every week. Like, dude, it was like, we had a new pickup artist tomorrow. We're going to learn a new thing. It was like incredible.
So, and from the guys that don't know community, what does that mean?
So okay, let me rewind. Hold on. So before the show changed everything. You have no idea. But like before the show, the community was basically meant this group of men who found each other online who would share tips and share suggestions on how to get better with women. And it was this very hidden thing. The show changed everything. And you guys don't realize it because you came in afterwards, right? But before the show, it wasn't even a community, it was a fraternity.
Right.
It was like skull and crossbones. It was secret. You had to have like secret access codes. Yeah. I remember.
So everyone had a handle, right? No one used their real names.
Handles. We had so this is what it was like. Literally, I remember this. We had, oh my God, I can't remember talking about this, but we had a thing called the Lair. It was this like this forum of guys in your city and all that kind of stuff. But I would go out with these guys to try to go out with these guys. A big black thing right here in my face. I would go out with these guys, to practice these skills and whatnot. And I remember being in a bookstore, right? This is how like the mentality we had back then. I remember being in a bookstore and we're trying to meet women and we see a guy reading the book The Game. And we're like, should we tell him who we are? Should we let him know like what's up? And he's like, no, man, he's got to find us himself. They got to find us, and like we can't talk about it. It was like Fight Club, bro. It was really like this. And if you went anywhere in the world, anywhere, and you found the Lair, the group in that city, you're in that fraternity. They're your brothers. Because it wasn't really an industry. Yes, there were gurus, there were people that were teaching it, but it was so like you had to find this and earn your spot to be here. And no one talked about that secret society. And then enter Kosmo in the show, and we're like, well, the whole world knows about this shit.
The whole world knows, oh yeah.
And it changed everything.
We thought everyone was aware of this. Now we're like, if I go up to a girl in a bar, she'd be like, oh my God, did you watch the show The Pickup Artist and learn that? It was like a huge fear. And here's one that's crazy, Jared. I don't know if you ever knew this, but like, so when I got into doing cold approach pickup and learning about it, I was doing it with my small pocket, a couple of my friends from high school that we were like learning together. And then we thought of the guys in the lair as like superstars.
Oh, so did I.
I literally was like, I'd go on these forums. I never forget this guy. If you're out there, Wonder Boy. I remember like
Wonder Boy.
Shout out to Wonder Boy.
PMing, I guess before DM, whatever, we were messaging. And one night, like I got the courage to be like, yo, let's go out and like wing together. And I told my buddy like, yo, we're going to go out with this guy from the thing. And my buddy was so intimidated that this guy was going to be so much better than us that he's going to be like, we can't go out with him. Like we're mere mortals. These guys are like superstars. And then I met the guys and I'm like, these guys are not super at anything. Like I'm like these guys are not super at anything. Like, but you put people on pedestals, right? And you think everyone's so incredible. Like the time that we ran into your old cohorts, Mystery and Matador.
Oh God, you want to tell that the Matador story?
We could get into.
You might break Kosmo's heart.
No, I don't want to get into that. We'll save it for another episode.
Yeah, and I feel like the point that you guys are making is that the fact that it was a hidden thing, right?
Yeah.
And now that people knew what it was about, when the show came out for a whole year, I got a lot of hate mail from guys. Like our audience
from guys, not from girls.
Oddly enough, our audience was mostly women that were empowering the show. The guys were like, I hate what you're doing. Now everyone knows what I'm doing. It wasn't a lot of empowerment from the men. Wow. From the women, it was more empowerment. Hey, how are you doing that? Did you really have a problem talking to girls? But for the men, it was like what Jared was saying. Like,
you blew up my spot.
I hate you. You blew up my spot.
You ruined the secret. Yeah.
Now every girl's going to know that. And we talked about in our other podcast that we did with Marnie, the Wing Girl, it was like, what if you embraced it? It's the whole 8 Mile method. Have you guys seen that movie?
Of course.
So Eminem, at the end of the movie, if you haven't seen it, Anthony Mackie plays a wonderful character. He's the antagonist. He has a whole bunch of like bars. Is that what we call it? Like a rapper? Like bars? Like bars ready to go to make fun of Eminem. That his mom is a hoe and all this stuff. And before the antagonist can talk, Eminem gets on a microphone and he makes fun of himself. And it's so liberating because he took the power away from the enemy. So when the antagonist, Anthony Mackie, boom, he got on the mic, he had nothing to say because Eminem called himself out. So I always think like, okay, cool, yes, I am here to pick you up. I have pickup lines. What's the problem? When you walk into that, what is the rebuttal from another person? Nothing. But by the fact that so many people were scared of it, like, oh my God, you're going to call me out. I mean, we do boot camps all the time where we teach our guys an opener. I might say the same opener, and then I call myself out. Like, yes, I'm a dating coach. Oh my God, what? What are you doing? I am a dating coach. Those 8 guys that talk to you, those are my students. Shut up. Oh my God, you're so ugly. Yep, I'm a dating coach, trying to pick you up. Like, I just walk right into it. Most of the time, the women feel very liberated by that. They're like, this is very refreshing.
Right. And it takes the edge off the serious. It takes the edge off of how serious the interaction is, right? When you just like kind of own it in the 8 Mile way. I was super guilty of this, Kosmo. I was like, we're done. We're finished here. I was like, we've been building on this. I was about to go from like no options to a bunch of options, and now it's all over. And I was like, well, we got to try something else. Like what? And then one day, literally, same thing. It wasn't the 8 Mile thing, but it's almost embracing the absurdity of it and laughing at yourself. I think there's a lot of power in what you said, laughing at yourself and not taking yourself so seriously, and understanding that like if she says, "Oh my God, is that a pickup line?" Be like, yeah, I practiced it like 50 times before I came out tonight. Did I do it great? And like doing it that way and like taking that route with it, it takes the pressure off the situation and it makes you lets you have fun. And it feels like you're not trying to earn her approval or earn her attention. You're just in this thing together, kind of like you're an improv group and you're just working together.
Call me crazy, but I mean, I was one of the few people watching it who was like rooting it on. Everybody was hating on it, and I'm like, no, guys. Okay, I kept remembering that quote, like, attraction is not a choice. So I'm like, if it works, it works. And if, all this is gonna do is the guys who suck and they can't innovate and they can't think of shit. Great. Now they're not a competition. Now they've lost. I looked at it as a challenge to step my shit up, to like come up with new things, to play around with it. I maybe I'm sick in the head like that, but when everybody else was freaking out, I'm like, it's gonna suck to be you guys, but like at the end of the day, women are gonna fuck someone, they're gonna date somebody, they're gonna get with somebody. So I'm like, good. If you guys can't adapt, then that's more for me. And I was into it, I guess. It's kind of very similar to when we did our like 19 blowouts. Remember? Like it was like, let's bring it on. Oh, he's ruining that routine? Screw it. I'm going to come up with a better.
Jared, I'm going to tell you something. Jared and I have been friends for almost 15 years, something like that. I can't remember. It's been about too long. Yeah. I've never told you this. I don't think I've ever told anybody this.
I know you're gay. I know.
No, that I've told many people.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever told you this, but like as a kid, obviously, you know, remember when you're a kid and you have like your birthday cake, they bring it out. They're like, all right, make a wish, like blow out, the candles. Or like as a kid, I was like, grew up, very religious. I would go to Catholic school or Christian school. I still am, still believe in God. And as a kid, I would go to bed at night and I would pray, or I would wish for things. One of my consistent wishes was, I always used to say, no, that's not possible, was I always wished for the ability to have the option of any woman I wanted to be with. As a kid, I was like, I wanted the option of any girl.
Wow, so you manifested this whole thing.
So I literally, as a kid, was like, because I was so bad with girls my entire youth. I had like every now and then I'll get lucky and like a girl would just like kind of fall into my thing because like she kind of liked what I had to offer, which was extremely limited. But I like the ability to be like, there is a desirable girl for me, and me to be able to make it happen was like, that's like me trying to like give me a bunch of metal and tell me to put an airplane together. Like I have no chance. And then when I found out this world, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a playbook. There's a series of events that I could follow and then execute this dream for me was like, this is insane to me. And like that, like that's why I thought I was so interested in it at first. And then it's crazy, like everything else, you get in for it for one thing, and then 10, 15 years down the road, you realize it's about something completely different. It's not about picking up women. It's not about fucking, what I thought it was about.
But I love that we're still morphing. Like the stuff that Kosmo and I talk about every Wednesday, we have these free calls we do. It is so different than the stuff we were talking about like 10 years ago and the tactics, whatever. And something Kosmo said that like he has my utmost respect on this. I know sometimes we like to roast each other, but we got to give the compliment where it's due here. Is he's got his like the epic famous Kosmo opener. It seems like you got really great energy. Had to introduce myself, whatever. But and even that, he's like, you know what? In 5 years, I should be ashamed of that opener. I should come up with something even better. And I think that's something that is so rare and unique, and what I love about especially this cast right here in the Modern Flirting crew is we're constantly striving to get better. We're trying to like we should not be teaching the same stuff we're teaching 10 years ago, 5 years ago. We're always trying to innovate, make it better and better, and that is a very rare quality, not just in someone, a seducer or even a coach, but just somebody who is always striving for success.
Yeah, you push me on that too, Jared. So Jared always liked to tell people like, oh, Albert, this is my friend Albert, very good at cold approach. I have that same feeling that he has about cold approach, where like even tonight at dinner, I was like, dude, cold approach is like, it is what it is, but it's all about social circle. And like you were the guy that put me on social circle. I'm like, public cold approach. While
you fought me, by the way, on social circle.
I fought you for years, and while I still enjoy it and I do it for fun and entertainment, I do believe that, as like to answer Kosmo's question still, as this world and this art form evolves, I think everything becomes more privatized. It's private parties, private events, and building that social circle.
I'm coming in my pants right now.
It's please don't.
Yeah.
It's exactly what happened in 1993, 1994 when the Gracies came in and were taking over the UFC, right? Yeah. It was jiu-jitsu, like it was everything. They were tapping everyone out. Now we're in 2022, and we have a bunch of guys from Dagestan that can do sambo, that can wrestle, Muay Thai, and now jiu-jitsu. You don't have a UFC champion right now while we're filming this podcast that is the champion. It became like a whole culture of mixing everything together.
Yeah.
Cold approach, for those of you that don't know what that is basically walking up to any girl that you've never met before from scratch and starting a conversation and talking to her and attracting her. Social circle is me and Jared are having a party, and we invite Albert to come over, and now a lot of the girls know Albert because he came to our party. Albert has a poker game party. He invites me and Jared. It's social circle is 2022 and will be for the next 10 years taking over.
100%.
Cold approach is very old school. Now, I agree with Albert with what you're saying. It's a cool skill set to have. But for those of you watching and listening, cold approach, when you're walking up to a girl from scratch should only be used to funnel a girl into your circle.
Right.
That's where we have evolved. And what Jared was saying, I didn't say 5 years, actually. We were in a car driving over here. I said like 8 months. And like, I love people that have a growth mindset. I think my opener is one of the best in the world. I do think that is very compatible with any human being. But next year, right, it's going to be different. So the way I created my energy opener was TikTok came out, in like instant gratification. We have less of an attention span than goldfish do. Like
What'd you say?
Like goldfish have. There you go.
I got
You got me.
It'll take a second.
So
it's on
like,
tape delay.
so
okay.
no. I'm
We'll edit that out.
So like goldfish are beating human beings right now with like, keeping attention, the 10-second reels, all that. So I came up with an opener that was very quick. So for those of you that don't know, you walk up to a girl and you say, hey, real quick, just had to say, you seem like you have good energy. I'm Kosmo. That's it. And they open up. But like what you were saying, Albert, was where do we go from that? And social circle is everything. Like that's where everyone needs to build. And the last thing I was going to say was, and I will declare it, I have no pros or cons against him, but I do think that Andrew Tate now coming into this field is going to change the way that you guys watching our podcast and hearing our podcast, that how women are going to react to men, I'm predicting for the next 3 to 5 years. Andrew Tate is going to be a game changer. And now women are going to be more on the defense than you have ever seen in your life. So you will have to adjust your game. I'm not commenting on Andrew Tate right now. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying I'm uploading data and now I'm going, well, I need a new opener now. Because this is the guy that's going to change shit.
I think Andrew Tate is just like a symptom of what's been going on. I mean...
And daddy issues.
And daddy issues. I mean, look, the whole first movement came in the 90s with Ross Jeffries and whatnot. And then the PUA movement came. And then the community came. And the seduction industry came. And there was all these ways about like how to get better with women and whatnot, right? And then what happened with this internet is... As only about 3% of people get successful. For example, when Albert and I went to these groups or these layers, we were like, "These guys are going to be gods. They're going to be amazing. We were going to be so like blown back." I was ready for it too, and then you're like, "Everyone here is a loser. Like, nobody's good here." So what you realize is in any industry, whether it's fitness, whether it's business, whether it's dating and getting better with women, only about 3% of guys get actually successful. And this has been my new obsession since modern flirting, since the last 3 years. What makes certain people successful at anything? But before, I don't want to get into all that, but what happened is so many guys learned about this PUA movement, learned about what the community, what we do, and a lot of them couldn't hack it. And what opened up was this group called PUA Hate. PUAHate.com. It got shut down. It was these people who were like, this doesn't work, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. It got shut down, and then they need a new outlet. And then that created these new movements. And there are 3 key big movements. And Andrew Tate is just basically a spokesperson for one of these movements. And he's just the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be more and more of these. But the 3 big movements were Red Pill, MGTOW, and Incel. And for those who don't know, Red Pill was kind of like an offshoot of the PUA movement. The Red Pill is basically like, it's all about looks and status and money, and women don't care about anything other than these superficial things, and fuck game, this is what it's about, right? And people can argue that. People can be like, no, Red Pill, I'm not going to get into all that shit. But the second one was MGTOW. MGTOW was like, you know what? Fuck them. We don't need women. Men going their own way. I don't want to deal with women. I don't want to look at women. Women don't exist to me. It's just men. And then there's the incels, the involuntary celibates, who are they're arguably the worst. They're the bitter, women suck, I hate all women, they won't give me the time of day, yada, yada. And the extreme cases of these incel
Columbine shooting back in the days.
I was getting into shooting.
That's what he was.
Guys, all these school shootings or like these incel guys. There's a case of a guy going into an all-women gym.
A lot of them often end up incels.
Jesus.
There you go, guys.
Wow.
Albert,
all right. Well, that's it for this episode.
Our episode right here.
Yep. We're going to end it on that shit.
Oddly enough.
I respect Show To UnF.
They got to rebrand their name, man.
All right, but my point is, this is the tip of the iceberg because we're getting into a place right now in society where without guys like us, like trying to help these people in real ways, change their lives, empower these men, give them tools to help them with women, they're going into a very dark, bitter place where they have no outlet. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And the truth of the matter is, even in our program, even in the Modern Freedom program, not everyone hacks it. Not everyone makes it because they don't have what it takes to actually do the work, stop the fucking excuses, take action. That's the way out of depression, as Kosmo put it. And when that happens, and when you have this fake abundance of seeing all these women on Instagram and Tinder and all these dating apps, but the reality is it's more scarce than ever before, it becomes really fucking dangerous. And Andrew Tate is just the start of something
I have a quick question for both of you guys. Sorry, quick question, because you guys have asked me some good ones. Huh? Yeah. I have a quick question for both of you guys. You guys have asked me some good ones. When you first started in this PUA world, as it used to be known, or whatever, what did you think in a very brief thing? What did you think it was all about? In a very in 1 to 2 sentences, Kosmo.
Shout out to our producer Brent.
Yeah, give it out.
Hey, there's Brian. Look.
What did I think?
In a very concise way, what did you think when you got into PUA and you discovered this? What did you think this was about? In 1 or 2 sentences.
When I got cast on a show?
Yeah. What did you think this entire world was about?
That's a good question. Can you go to Jared first?
Let's go to Jared.
What did I want out of it, or what did I think the movement was?
What did you think what this was all about?
Picking up women. I thought the movement was about how to attract any woman and get her in bed.
What did you think it was about?
Man, dude, really good question. The first episode, when I got on, I thought it was about learning how to talk to a girl. And then I had a panic attack, an anxiety attack, and I said, oh my God, dude, this is more about me having social freedom and overcoming my anxieties. It became deeper for me really quick.
That's all. I wish I had the depth that you had. I was way closer to Jared's. I think I looked at it like this is a social map for me who I don't have any skills on how to expand my options. For me, it was all about options. I looked at as a human being, I'm an okay looking guy. I'm reasonably smart. I was like, I'll get a girl somehow. But I was like, it kind of had to work out for me. I couldn't really make it happen. It had to just happen. And I'm like, this gives my options from this many to that many. But you know what I realized it's actually about? It actually is about how to be adjusted in life, society, and those around you, how to fit around those around you, and how to never be, people ask me, what do we do at Modern Flirting? I don't say we teach dating, even though we do. I don't say we teach pickup, even though we kind of do. I don't say we teach attraction, even though we do. I say we literally teach guys how to not be creepy. Yeah. We literally teach men how to be well-adjusted in all facets of society. You know, when you're around someone, you're like, this guy's a little weird. What's going on here? I teach them and we teach them how to not be that person that everyone's snickering behind their back and being like, what's wrong with that?
I love that. That's great. That's, I think, the thing that a lot of guys get very confused about is that it's all about just fucking a girl, right? Or having sex with a girl. Yeah. And it's a lot deeper.
It's not that at all. Yeah.
Yes. All that being said, guys, we are about to go out and have one of our boot camps right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. Albert, you're amazing.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Dude, no, I love you. You're
Same,
amazing.
Man.
Yes,
Appreciate
absolutely. Jared, you're okay. You're all right. Yeah. I'll be back on the next episode with Jared.
We'll see.
You're cool. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, for watching and listening. We will see you on the next episode. Woo. Much love.
Love you guys.